So my name's Jason Beres. I'm with Infragistics. We are a UI toolkit company. We've been around for going on 30 years, so some of the folks up here have been around that long as well, some a lot shorter, but a lot of history in financial services. We have an office here in London. We're based in New Jersey, US, so we have a booth outside in the mingling area, so please come by and talk to us afterwards. What I'm going to touch on briefly today is just on what's happening in the enterprise today. Everyone is in the same boat. There's the legacy applications that we have thousands of. Literally, some companies have over 10,000, 15,000 legacy applications. They need to modernize them. And these are applications written in .NET, C++, but also Flex, Flash, you name it. And then you've got, JavaScript that's coming along with HTML5, and I think it's been over-demonstrated, especially with OpenFin, that JavaScript is a completely viable solution for most technical needs today. So what Gartner talks about is this bi-modal strategy, and a bi-modal strategy is really figuring out how you can maintain your existing, probably core business infrastructure, because that has to keep going probably for many years forward while dipping your toes into some of this new stuff. And I really think that's where OpenFin comes into play. It's a really compelling solution for that problem. So this is a blog that Mitra didn't write. So I grabbed it from the OpenFin website, but I think it tells the story really well. British Airways doesn't build planes. You shouldn't build an app container. And so essentially what the blog is about is saying, listen, everyone can go build an app container, but just like every other project that resulted in the 10 or 12,000 applications that live in our enterprise today, it's because there was a team that needed a solution, so they built this thing, and then that thing kind of has a life of its own forever because there's users for it that have to be supported, et cetera, and so it needs to just live on. And so with OpenFin, you can just use that container. Don't build 1,000 containers across your enterprise for specific needs. Use that container. And with Infragistics, we sort of push on the same message. Focus on what you do best and let us help you with what we do best, along with some of the other solutions that you saw tonight. So we've been around here for over 25 years, and grids and charts is stuff that we're really, really good at in financial services. So tonight, what I'm going to show you is a few examples that I think are pretty cool that really demonstrate OpenFin as a good bimodal solution. So how many people are using OpenFin today? Okay, so maybe half of the folks. How many people are doing JavaScript? About half, so maybe a little bit more. But the whole point of everything that you saw in these demos is that doing stuff in JavaScript between windows is really, really hard, which is why we need a container. So what are the solutions that I can build that helps me get the robust applications that I need that span across 10 monitors, 12 monitors, or even just 2 monitors without having to build a web application? So I've got 3 scenarios here, and the magic that happens here is all OpenFin. All the beautiful candy on top is Infragistics, but OpenFin is really giving us the ability to do this. And what's really interesting is the amount of code to do this is super lightweight. So the applications that I'm going to show you were already built. We just added the OpenFin Interapp Bus API to it. It's a publisher-subscribe methodology, and it just kind of worked. So the first one is having an HTML app, which is talking to HTML children through a bus, which means I have different windows, which is what Finsample was showing, was all these different windows are communicating with each other where it's not a browser. So a browser I can't stretch across multiple monitors, and a browser is not secure communication within Windows. So the beautiful thing about OpenFin is I have that secure link between these windows, which is really what we care about. Scenario 2 is a Wpf app. It's going to spawn a Wpf app. It's going to spawn a JavaScript app, and they're all going to talk together. And then scenario 3, there's a little bit of pixie dust magic on this one. We've integrated Signal R to talk to the OpenFin bus, so you can do the same thing across Xamarin, or it could be a web app on a mobile phone and the desktop WPF and the web. And that's a little crazy. I don't know if anyone would actually do that, but it actually does work. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys here is, actually let me close these out just so you can see it from the beginning, is I've got an application here called IG Finance. This is just a simple chart application. It does some nice things. It moves around. we OpenFinned it, which was super easy to put it in the container. So we took this and we made it into an OpenFin application, this icon you're used to seeing. So now I've got this application in OpenFin. And the magic we added here, obviously I can change to different chart types, and I have the ability to zoom in and out of these things. We have like a zoom bar component here, and all these charts synchronize automatically. But if I click one of the data points on the actual chart, I'm getting here the data for that particular day or that span of time. Now the nice thing is if I select another item in the grid, you'll notice that the chart is actually moving to that item. It's highlighted in red. So as I clicked on 327, it actually went to 327, and it married those up. So this is about 4 to 6 lines of code to get two completely separate containers communicating with each other through the OpenFin inter-application bus through subscriber or through a publish-subscribe method. And it makes it super easy. Now what we're doing here from Infragistics is we do a lot of the work just that allows you to select a point in the grid if I'm selecting it from the chart, or if I'm doing something from the grid, we synchronize those charts automatically based on this nice scroll bar on the bottom, and it kind of performs some of that, that magic for you. So this is like a super simple OpenFin app without going into really too much code. Here is essentially 4 lines of code that sets up the price selection change event to the grid. So when I click there, it publishes that, the grid is listening, and I go right to that row. The grid has a selected item event, which it just changes the CSS to red. So integrating this is super easy. The second demo I want to show you is a little bit richer. This is a Wpf app, and this is pretty slick. So I'm going to go ahead and open up an Excel file. We have an Excel library. It's all cross-platform. It works pretty much everywhere. So this basically just read this into a chart. So now what I want to do is, because we have a bi-modal application here, I've got a JavaScript app. And my JavaScript app is going to be, I'm starting the task here with grunt. And what you're going to see is a JavaScript window with a chart. And just to show the chart moving a little bit, one of the things OpenFin gives you is the ability to communicate with the processor and the CPU on the local machine, which you really can't do right through the browser, right? So this is sort of that hook into OpenFin for the desktop. So the chart's cool, it moves really fast, I can zoom in and zoom out and whatever. But on the chart, I've got a couple buttons here. I've got gauge, and so the purple bar is my processor, the green bar is the memory, so it's showing you this is actually my processor gauge actually happening right now. I'm going to go ahead and click Excel, and I'm going to open up this same exact Excel file. Now keep in mind, this is a JavaScript app. This is a JavaScript app. So now I've got 2 charts that are, they're identical. So Infragistics charts, we have the same API in every platform, same capability. They all look basically the same no matter what you're doing. But the cool thing here is through OpenFin, through the bus, this is a Wpf app. This is a touch screen, so I'll just make it smaller like so, is I'm actually communicating the touch events between a JavaScript app and a Wpf app through OpenFin. So this is something, as you know, of course, in your trading apps, you're not going to be doing this to see 2 charts move, but the point is, when you start pushing events back and forth, pretty much everything is possible between JavaScript, WPF, and then finally, event. And one cool thing here is, I'm not going to go into it because we don't have much time up here, but this is a WPF app. It read an Excel file with our Excel library. JavaScript app, it read an Excel file with the JavaScript library. I don't need Excel on the page. So what would be happening here is if I'm updating the data, that's actually just doing a file system watcher, and it would update that data across each one of these windows. So the sort of finale demo, which is a little bit of a stretch, but it just shows you how you can innovate in this, because you're not making money by looking like everyone else. Everyone is trying to innovate to do things that are unique in the market, and OpenFin gives you an opportunity with adding a little magic on top of it. So this example is pretty sweet. And by the way, all this source code we have on a blog. It's Infragistics OpenFin. Hopefully it's up by now. But you'll notice that even the touch events, and this is the reason this wouldn't work here is because this is on a local secure network in the office. This, my firewall blocked this from happening. I couldn't do this with an IP address. But it does show you that through OpenFin and through some of this neat capability, you can get that same sort of user experience that you did just through JavaScript and WPF, and then pushing it forward with OpenFin. So then finally, my last minute here, let me bring this back up. The two frameworks that were in those demos today, by the way, Aurelia is probably getting a lot of hits right now. We work with Aurelia too. If you are a WPF developer, Aurelia has an easy on-ramp for you. It's a very familiar syntax. The team that worked on it was sort of intentional, but it's a really good framework. But obviously today everyone cares about Angular, everyone cares about React. We got basically every widget you can imagine in the toolbox. We focus primarily on grids, then charts, then a bunch of other components. And we do the same thing for iOS, Android, and Xamarin. So we have all that cross-platform stuff. So if you're interested in any of the OpenFin stuff, check out the URL. We have a booth out here. Like I said, we have a local office here in London. Vince, who's our MD, is here tonight, so go introduce yourself if you want to set up a meeting. We have Tobias, who's the sales guy, and Kirill, who's our technical guy over here in Europe. So thanks, everyone, for this time, and thanks to OpenFin for having us.